Fight night Edwards versus Brady just wrapped up, and Sean Brady, the man from Philly, goes out there and absolutely dominates Leon Edwards and is able to find a submission and get him out of there in a one-sided beatdown. I couldn't believe what we just see, man. I picked Sean Brady to win the fight, but I just did not see a dominant win from Sean Brady coming. I mean, Leon Edwards, you can say what you want about Leon. He is a world-class fighter, incredibly high level, and Sean Brady just went out there and walked through him in London. Unbelievable performance by Sean Brady. So we have a lot to discuss in this. This is going to be my full card recap. We'll discuss every single fight that took place because this card had a lot of interesting and kind of funky moments throughout. So let's hop right into this, starting with the main event between Leon Edwards and Sean Brady. This is what I was saying coming into this fight, man, is Sean Brady, he's a serious problem in this weight class, right? And everyone wants to talk about the Belal Muhammad loss, and that was kind of the elephant in the room coming into this fight, is can Sean Brady replicate a similar game plan against Leon? Because did Belal kind of show the blueprint and the way to kind of get after Leon? And it seems like that is kind of what happened. And yes, the other elephant was, look, Sean Brady, he got pieced up by Belal. And it's like, you know, how's that going to boat when he goes in there against Leon? And it just shows just how damn good Belal Muhammad is, man. Because outside of that loss, Sean Brady has been absolutely spectacular. And no one has found an answer other than obviously the loss to Belal. But since that loss, he is someone that just seems more seasoned to me, is coming into their own, and is a serious problem inside the welterweight division. And I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't care about any other fight at welterweight right now. I know we have Belal versus JDM going on. I wish we could just book the rematch, man. But I guess let the anticipation build. To go out there and do that to Leon Edwards, you put yourself right in title contention. Now, given the state of the division right now, I don't know if they're going to give him a title shot off of this performance, but I wouldn't be complaining at all. To go out there and do that to the former champion in Leon Edwards, a guy that is that skilled in Leon, is unbelievably impressive. And what we saw from Sean Brady is just a guy that was fighting with a seasoned confidence to him, right? Ever since the loss, he's just been a little bit different to me, right? He's found more confidence in his striking. I mean, he was landing some really, really good shots with the boxing on the feet, mixing in some good kicks, and then timing perfect takedowns, and just kept Leon guessing all night long until he was able to find that submission in the fourth round. And that's what I was saying about Brady coming into this fight. That was going to be a problem for Leon. Listen, Leon has very, very, very good grappling, right? Even though at times people want to shit on him for it, he is still a very good grappler, right? We saw what he was able to do to Colby. We saw what he was able to do to Usman, right? When he was able to kind of solve those, puzzles, right? When he gets backed up against the fence, fighting off the hands, getting back to space, being a difficult guy to hold down, right? And that's kind of been the story with Leon with the grappling, is even if you do take him down, he finds a way to work back to his feet. But I anticipated in this fight, it just wasn't going to work like that against Sean Brady, because it's not that, there's this unbelievable wrestler, which yes, Brady does have good wrestling. It's the submission element that he brings to the table that causes you to fight different, right? You can't just recklessly, when you're just a wrestler, right? With Belal, as good as Belal is, he doesn't have this submission threat. So Leon can just explode back to his feet a little recklessly, right? You don't have to be so careful and meticulous about getting back to your feet, about creating that separation. Same thing when he fought Colby, same thing when he fought Usman, to where when you fight Brady, it's a different ball game. You're dealing with what I've been saying is an elite submission artist in the welterweight division, and Sean Brady couldn't have went out there and looked any better, really. I mean, I think he took one legit shot, which was that elbow that kind of, put that little welt on the side of his face. Other than that, flawless, dominant win from Sean Brady. You want to make a case, man, that you're here to stay in the division and make your case while the welterweight division's really starting to heat up? That is how you do it. JDM was supposed to fight Leon. JDM, because Shavkat gets hurt, they give JDM the title shot. Brady now gets this big opportunity, goes in there on a shorter notice and does that to Leon Edwards in London. Unbelievable. And the fact that he submitted him makes it even more impressive. Huge win for Sean Brady. Happy for the guy. I saw a victory coming for Sean Brady, but to go out there and let alone sub Leon Edwards, but then to make it that dominant, unbelievably impressive. I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't think Sean Brady loses to anybody else in the division. Maybe, I know the Shavkat fight's difficult, so I could see, that as a possibility. But I think Belal, Brady, and Shavkat are almost in a league of their own. And I put Brady and Belal in a league of their own. I can't wait to see those guys go at it again. I hope we get the rematch at some point. Obviously, Muhammad has business to take care of. We'll see what happens with Brady moving forward. Can't wait for that rematch. I hope we get it because, in my opinion, those are the two best guys in the weight class. I know Shavkat's very good and he has a very good skill set, but I like what we saw from Brady, man. To do that to Leon Edwards, incredibly impressive. Well done by Sean Brady, man. Happy for the guy. Just a cool dude, too, man. Just stand-up guy. Jan Blachowicz versus Carlos Ulberg. I thought Jan won this fight, man. I thought Jan won this fight 29-28. Look, this is one of those things. Look, I'm not going to sit up here and make these make like excuses or anything like that, but the fact that Jan's 42 years of age, coming off of the injuries that he's coming off of, the long layoff, and goes in there and goes toe-to-toe with the young gun in Carlos Ulberg, who's streaking, the hot hand in the division right now. And to go out there and go back and forth with them and be right in his face like it's nothing like that, incredibly impressive stuff by Jan. Now, this fight was kind of right? It was basically a calf kick fest. There were some moments where Ulberg, landed a good check hook and he was, kind of jabbing and throwing out some little leg kicks. And when Jan decided to blitz in, he landed some shots. This wasn't the most exciting fight, right? But we did get to see that Ulberg, the speed was just an issue. The speed was an issue, but what I thought this came down to is, yes, Carlos Ulberg outlanded Jan, right? He, was tipping and tapping with, leg kicks, flicking the jab out there, and it looked pretty, right? The way he was doing that, which that is always what we know about Carlos Ulberg, is he's fast, he's speedy, and he's got a very technical striking style. But it was the lateral movement, the speed and the footwork that ultimately gave Jan problems. The issue I have with the judges' call here is we see this with the judging. We just at times really don't know what they're valuing, right? And what I saw here was Jan, who was constantly pushing the pace. Yes, he did not outscore Ulberg in terms of the volume, but when Jan landed, it felt like you could tell the difference. He was really battering the lead leg of Ulberg. Jan was checking kicks very, very well. Nothing super flush landed. I know some jabs got through and there was the check hook from Ulberg, but I thought the bigger actions and the bigger shots that landed were on the side of Jan while advancing forward, while pushing the pace. And so either way, it was a very close fight, right? Again, close fights are not robberies. I just thought Jan won the fight. But either way, it was a very good performance by both guys. Jan at 42, Ulberg going in there against a dangerous powerhouse and Jan Blachowicz, and going out there and, utilizing the speed, utilizing the footwork. Ulberg, spectacular, man. He's a guy that I've been high on ever since he came into the UFC. He had that hiccup with Kennedy and Nzechukwu. He's someone who has just shown us these evolutions, man. And he even was the guy that was initiating the grappling. I thought if there was going to be any grappling, it would be Jan looking to grapple in this fight. Maybe in hindsight, he should have tried to mix that in. Again, easier said than done because Ulberg was, being so elusive on the outside that we just saw the speed was a killer for Jan, man. It was a killer. And even a prime Jan Blachowicz was never particularly fast, right? So that was kind of always his Achilles heel, was these guys with speed, but it's the fact that Ulberg also has the power to go along with it. Either way, it was a not a super exciting fight, but I thought it was a very high-level performance by both guys, given where they're at in their career. This was a very important fight for the division. And Carlos Ulberg, he finds himself in an interesting position because I think that they're probably going to look to book him versus Jiri Prochazka, right? Maybe they just give him a title shot, but it sounds like we're going to get Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira too, right? That's the fight that absolutely should happen next. And then, and then now we're in a position where it's like, does Ulberg wait, or do we keep him active and give him a true number one contender fight in Jiri Prochazka? That sounds like a banger of a matchup to me between Jiri and Ulberg. I think that's next, and I'm excited to see what happens. And I don't think Jan's done, man. For a guy that's 42 years of age, I know he's still kind of plotty and this and that, and, he had the long layoff coming off some injuries. I still think he's got a little left in the tank. Maybe not a title run, right? But I still think Jan has a little bit left. I think he still has a little bit left, so we'll see what's next for him. Maybe they give him the winner of Khalil and Jamal Hill or something like that. But either way, that was a big win for Carlos Ulberg. Gunnar Nelson, Kevin Holland. Bottom line, this is what I was telling you guys when I made my predictions, man. Kevin Holland is someone that you just don't know what you're going to get. And it feels like I should have known from the aspect of when Holland's at 185, he's just clowning around having fun. Then when he goes down to 170, it seems like he takes things a little bit more serious. It seems like he almost has this confidence like he can actually win the fight, maybe. I don't know, because at 185, those guys are a lot more physically strong than him when it comes to the grappling, and that's kind of always been his issue. But he put on a great performance here against Nelson. And I know that it's been a while since we've seen Gunnar. He's been, sidelined for a while. He's been in and out of action. But he's a really, really high-level grappler, man. Very, very, very good submissions. Very, very good takedowns. And we saw that. We saw him put Kevin in some different positions. But you just saw that at 170... Kevin's just a different fighter, man. He's got a different confidence to him. He's not as worried when it comes to the grappling, and you really got to see that because I really thought if someone at 170, I know guys at the top of the weight class like a Sean Brady or something like that could definitely sub Holland, but out of guys that you would be like, who's a dark horse that could just dominate Holland with the grappling? Nelson's one of those names, right? So for Holland to go out there and drop him and hurt him badly in the first round and, show really solid, grappling overall from Holland. Like, I know that we all kind of just are like, does he have any grappling anymore? And he goes out there and puts on a performance like that. I have one thing to say. Stay at 170, Kevin Holland. Stop with these side quests at 185. And I think he's doing it just to stay active and make a bunch of money and this and that, because I think the UFC takes pretty good care of him, right? But if he actually wants to stack up the wins and really build some momentum here, 170 is his weight class. To do that, I know Nelson, again, he's not exactly in his prime. He's been inactive. He's still a guy that is very, very high-level grappling. And to survive on the ground with him, show good takedown defense, create scrambles, get back to your feet, land good shots, that was a good performance by Kevin Holland, man. Stay at 170. The guy has a good skill set when he shows up. There's no question about it. Happy that Kevin Holland was able to get it done. Molly McCann, Alexia, Thyonara. Molly McCann retires, right? So it's always sad to see someone that brings some life, to the fight game, especially over in WMMA, right? Molly McCann was one of the bigger names, and every time she goes out there, you know that you are going to get an action-packed fight. Whether she wins or loses, it's going to be an interesting fight. And this was it was a disaster the moment this fight got booked, right? Molly, it seemed like they were trying to give her a favorable matchup prior to this, and her opponent, I don't remember who it was, had to pull out of the fight. So Alexia is who stepped in on short notice. A much better opponent, right? Alexia training over with Amanda Hebos. She's got a very well-rounded skill set. She's got excellent submission abilities. She's got really good grappling. She's pretty good on the feet. And I figured if she took down Molly, it was going to be a serious problem, as it was. It's always sad because, Molly McCann, while I don't think that she's a super great fighter, she still brought a little bit of energy and excitement. So, happy for her because I'm sure she's made a lot of money. Sounds like she's opening up some different, businesses for herself. So it sounds like she's got it all planned out, for herself. So, happy retirement for her. And, Alexia, she's someone that deserves some respect and someone we should keep an eye on. To go out there and get a submission in the first round like that on short notice, big opportunity, big win for Alexia. I was impressed. Jordan Vucenic, Chris Duncan. I was very disappointed in this fight because Jordan Vucenic's someone that I've been high on for a long time, right? You guys that have been watching the channel know that he's someone I've been watching. Over in Cage Warriors, been watching that CM Boxing channel, Jordan's YouTube channel. He's just got a smooth, aesthetically pleasing style. Good Muay Thai, good clean boxing, good jiu-jitsu. And he just had some lapses in judgment in this fight. And ultimately, I do want to give the credit to Chris Duncan because I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, Vucenic just made bad errors because he shot for that takedown. He made some questionable calls in there, just like Leon Edwards shooting for that damn takedown. But Chris Duncan, he needs his respect, man. He needs his respect because whenever people seem to count this guy out, he weathers some storms, he lands some good shots, and he finds his submission. So Chris Duncan, put some respect on the guy's name. The dude is durable, he's tough, and he's powerful for this weight class. He's clearly a guy that seems like he has a little bit of a physicality advantage compared to his opposition, and that's what we saw in this fight. He threw that nice kick to the body, followed up with a right hand down the middle, caught Vucenic off guard, and then it just seemed like it was downhill from there, right? Comes out in the second round, Jordan's landing some good shots on the feet, and then for some reason, shoots a takedown out in the open space, just nothing, it was just a blind takedown. Duncan saw it coming a mile away, and I just didn't understand it, right? Because Duncan, if he was going to win this fight, you thought that it would come by way of grappling, but obviously he gained the respect of Vucenic on the feet by dropping him with that shot. So hopefully Vucenic, he can get, he stays around in the UFC and can get back on the win track here, because he lost to Guram, and then now he lost to Chris Duncan. So I know the Guram fight was on short notice, but we just saw what happened to Guram. So it's like, really, where is Vucenic at? But either way, big performance by Chris Duncan, man. Back-to-back sub wins. Very, very impressive stuff. Put some respect on Chris Duncan's name. The dude is, he's a problem. Very physically strong as well. Nathaniel Wood, Morgan Charriere. I was very surprised by this. Because I know Nathaniel Wood is a very, very skilled fighter. He's incredibly well-rounded, has good submissions, good grappling, solid boxing, good striking, good timing on the feet. This just came down to speed and rhythm. I mean, Nathaniel Wood, he was dancing around Morgan Charriere in this fight. He was just a step ahead the entire time. Dropped him badly with a nasty right hand in the first round. The speed was just clearly on notice, man. And that is what this came down to, because while Morgan started to kind of find a little bit of a groove in the second round after surviving somehow in the first round, he started to find some rhythm in the second, but it didn't matter, man. Nathaniel Wood, the speed, the timing, the ferociousness of his strikes, he just looked like peak Nathaniel Wood tonight, and I just didn't think we were going to see that. And the fact that we did, if this guy can put his foot on the gas, go out there and put on performances like that, I could absolutely see Wood working his way up into the rankings in the top of the weight class. I think he's that skilled, man. I really do. I think that he'll have some problems with some of the grapplers at the top of the weight class, but this man has very clean striking. He's got good power, and his speed, it's definitely, I think he's one of the faster guys in the weight class, for sure. And I think he showed that tonight. I know Morgan isn't the fastest guy, but he's got power. He was, had some steam coming into this. Very impressive win for Nathaniel Wood. That was a big one for him. Herbert, Chris Padilla. So this was a tricky one. Split decision here. I thought Chris Padilla would win this fight, and I thought that the grappling was going to be a little bit of the difference here. And, and that's kind of, Padilla was landing some good shots, mixing in the grappling, pushing Jai up against the fence. And it just seems like every fight with Jai Herbert is, we look at him and it's almost like this, more of a, not the same type of power, but the rhythm and the movement reminds me a little bit of a prime Edson Barboza, right? A guy that's just got some snappy kicks, some quick hand speed. He's just fun to watch on the feet, but he doesn't, it's just something isn't clicking with Jai Herbert. I don't know what it is. He just doesn't get guys out of there, really, right? We know we know that, he was able to drop Ilia Topuria with a head kick. Like, that's kind of his vintage moment. But he's very, very slick, right? He's tall, he's rangy, he's fast, he's wiry, and he has very, very clean striking, but it's just something isn't clicking here. And a lot of that, I figured Chris Padilla was going to come in with kind of that, dog attitude. Move forward, high guard, make it kind of a dirty, grimy type of fight, and that's how you beat Jai Herbert. Don't stand on the outside, have this back and forth, super technical fight with Jai Herbert, because that is how Jai can beat you, right? If you play that technical game, Jai's one of those guys that can get it done. But I thought that the grittiness of Padilla, the willingness to make it more of a non-aesthetically pleasing fight, played to the advantage of Padilla. Big win for Chris. And again, Jai Herbert finding himself in weird territories here, because it seems like he loses one or two, wins one, loses another. So, and I like Jai Herbert, man. I think he's fun to watch, but I figured Chris Padilla's pace, the way he was going to mix things together, was going to be a little bit of a problem, because we know Herbert, he struggles to finish guys, and if you're going to decisions, anything can happen. So good performance, though, by Padilla. Loughran Kavanagh, Felipe Dos Santos. To me, I thought this was the most entertaining fight of the night. We saw some at flyweight, these guys are like Energizer bunnies, right? Flies on the wall, they're bouncing around, there's all sorts of stuff going on. We saw some fun grappling exchanges. We saw some good stuff on the feet. We saw it was a bloody mess in there. This was a fantastic fight. I enjoyed every second of this, and that was very entertaining grappling, right? Felipe Dos Santos, he's got that shoot-to-box Charles Oliveira style, right? That aggressive Muay Thai style on the feet, wants to get in your face, throw those, the front kicks up the middle, some of the flying knee techniques, spinning back fists, like very creative and aggressive movements while pressing the action and moving forward. And he had a very good first round. But after that, it seemed like Kavanagh started to get a little bit more comfortable. I think he was caught a little bit off guard by Felipe in the first round, and then he started to settle in, started to mix in the grappling, landed some really good shots early in that round to gain the respect of Felipe. And then we just saw Kavanagh really just kind of take over, right? And he was controlling him on top, landing some good ground and pound of his own. But the one thing about those guys that shoot the box, they have a nasty guard, man, not only with their submissions, but landing really good elbows and good sneaky shots from the bottom. So we saw that from Dos Santos. That was a very, very good scrap down at flyweight. I really enjoyed it. And like I said, Loughran Kavanagh, this is a guy I'm high on, man. He's got outstanding striking, good power. His grappling is very, very much improving along the way. We saw that in this fight because Dos Santos, he's got slick submissions. He's got a very good guard. So very good stuff from Kavanagh. Happy to see him get it done. Fun fight. Was probably the most entertaining fight on the card, in my opinion. Marcin Tybura, Mick Parkin. This is why I went with Tybura. I just feared that this was just a smidge much too soon for Mick Parkin, because while Mick is a very patient heavyweight, he has smooth striking, he's got solid timing, and he never really finds himself out of position. That is kind of a problem against Tybura, because while Marcin nothing about him is aesthetically pleasing, his striking's bizarre, the way he gets to his takedowns is kind of bizarre, he just makes it work. He just makes it work, and he's a guy that just doesn't seem to go away, right? Even if you hit him with some good shots, even if things are looking ugly and not pretty, Tybura finds a way, and that's kind of what happened in this fight. This was a very close fight. I could have seen it going either way, to be honest with you. I know people are calling robbery, but again, close fights are not robberies, right? So again, Tybura, to me, it was the way that he was throwing the shots that were confusing Mick Parkin, because normally, if a guy's going to throw a jab cross, they'll throw a roundhouse behind it, they'll throw a leg kick, they'll throw whatever, where Tybura is throwing like a backhand jab front kick. Like, his combinations are just very unorthodox. They're not exactly things that you see all the time. It's like he's throwing things out of order. So I think that really threw Parkin off, to be quite honest with you. But this was a big win for Tybura, right? Because now he's got some steam behind him. He's really starting to put things together, and Parkin will learn from this, right? Mick Parkin's very skilled. He's patient, and I like that about him. I just figured that was going to be a little bit of an issue against Tybura, and considering the fact that Parkin hasn't really been finishing anybody since he's been in the UFC. I know he has the power. He does have the ability to do it. We saw it, especially before he got to the UFC. But since he's been in the organization, we haven't seen the same type of finishing ability. And I think we're going to need to see that in the heavyweight division, because especially with a guy that can grapple, especially a guy with that veteran experience like Tybura, it just seemed like that took over as the fight played out. But again, Mick showed some solid grappling, right? He never really was in too much of a danger against Tybura, which is where we've seen Tuivasa, Denise. We've seen these guys have some issues with the grappling of Marcin. So we've seen the grappling of Mick Parkin. He's just got to put it together and I think be a little bit more on the front foot in terms of, I know he was moving forward a lot, but let his hands go and try to land some good power shots and get guys out of there. So, but he'll learn, he'll be back. I like Mick Parkin. Big win for Tybura. CLD versus Andre Pulyaev. This is pretty much how I saw this fight playing out. I think on a good night, Christian Leroy Duncan is one of the better guys in this weight class, especially when it comes to the striking. He's speedy, he's quick, he's got a very dynamic, aesthetically pleasing style, man. He's slick on the feet, the way he moves and switches stances and attacks the legs and, with the feints, stepping in and out of range. He is a very smooth guy on the feet. I love watching CLD fight, man. And I figured coming into this that Andre's just too basic. In order to beat CLD, you have to have something that just troubles him, right? With Gregory Rodriguez, that guy's a unit, right? He's got crazy power. He's got really, really good grappling in his back pocket. And so there's that extra element that CLD has to worry about. Where in a fight like this, what's there for CLD to worry about? I know Andre has power, right, if he's able to land, but he's basic on the feet. CLD was significantly faster, and CLD basically had the grappling advantage. So there was nothing that troubling to Christian Leroy Duncan. And if you don't have that specific trait or, art that is going to cause him to be extra cautious, you're not going to beat CLD. He's fast, he's slick, he's going to outpoint you, he has the power to sting you. I like everything about CLD, man. Guys, super fun to watch. I look forward to him fighting every single time. I want to see him rattle off some wins and start to work his way into a stacked division right now, because we all know middleweight is on fire right now. It's one of the best divisions in the UFC right now. So, is he someone that's going to be challenging for a title? I'm not going to say no, right? Because again, it's still early on here, but he's definitely got some work to do. But he's got the style, man. He's got the style. He's got the swag, like watching everything about CLD. Very, very slick performance by Duncan. Sean Bannon and Tomar. Well, I thought Bannon was going to win, but I didn't think it was going to end up the way it did, man. I mean, Tomar, just how in the world do you damn near knock someone out with a head kick and then don't win the fight? Like, she rocked Shauna bad, man. I thought the fight was over, and I'm like, oh no, man. I'm like, I should have known that Bannon has a boxing weakness, and maybe the tie technique of Tomar would be a little bit too much to where she timed a head kick. And Bannon, just showed that she has some dog in her, man. She got, she was in a bad position, was throwing up submissions off of her back, and then was able to find a submission. I mean, very impressive stuff by Shauna. People are going to, make comments about her saying, she's not a fighter. She shouldn't be in the UFC. Listen, to go out there and get rocked with a head kick, dropped, and find a submission in the midst of all that, that's dog mentality, man. That's a fighter. So you can say whatever you want about her. That performance, to me, rose her stock. I know that getting dropped by Tomar is not a good look, and I get all that. But to go out there, get dropped like that, and find a sub, that's pretty badass, man. That's pretty badass. So very impressive stuff. Again, shouldn't be getting rocked by Tomar, right? And again, there's these high expectations, I guess, for Shauna, right? Because with Tomar, we saw coming into the UFC, she's not particularly great, right? But still got to give credit to Shauna, man. That was a slick submission to pull that off when things were looking bad. Nathan Fletcher, Loughran. Thought Nathan Fletcher won this fight. I thought he won the fight. I thought it was 29-28 Fletcher. And it comes down to the third round, right? Loughran won the first, Fletcher won the second, and the third, Loughran was winning the third round until the final, whatever it was, minute, to where there was really nothing significant that happened in the round. It was kind of just Loughran holding him up against the fence, and then Fletcher started to let his hands go, let some elbows go, and he was landing some nice shots, and I think one of those elbows split Loughran open, and I'm like, okay, the round, we didn't really see anything in terms of damage, right? And it was basically just guys holding each other up against the fence, and then the more damaging shots that came in the round were on the side of Nathan Fletcher. So I thought Nathan Fletcher won this fight, but either way, it was very close, right? It was very, very close. We saw with Loughran, he's just so stiff, man. He's so stiff. It's very, very bizarre to watch this guy fight. Everything seems so stiff and so tight, and he kind of marches into range, throws these shots, and look, he's a unit. He's a tough guy to deal with, and the pace that he was able to put on Fletcher in the third round, maybe that swayed the judges, considering Fletcher looked slightly fatigued. Loughran was really pouring it on him, mixing in the takedowns, kept relentlessly putting the pace on him. It was a good performance by Loughran. Again, I expected a little bit more from Nathan Fletcher, but I thought he stole the third round towards the end there by landing some of those shots. Either way, close fight. And again, big win for Loughran. Got one back because these two fought on the regional scene before the UFC, and Fletcher was able to get that one. So I figured we'd see a lot of grappling. I just thought Fletcher did enough to get it done. Last but not least, Guram Kutateladze and Cal Fernandes. This, to me, was one of the biggest shockers of the night. I watched, some film on Fernandes, and I'm like, look, he's solid, right? He's got some decent kicks. He's got a short left hook. He's got that long karate-esque stance. And I'm like, he's a solid fighter, right? But was he better than Guram? I said coming into this, no way, right? And I've said this before. I think Guram has a world-class skill set, and it's just not translating into his fights, man, which happens, right? People are going to say that that's delusional or something. That happens. Guys can look great on the pads, that you can see all this training footage. You can see these moments on the regional scene, and then they get to the big stage in the UFC, and it just doesn't translate. And I don't want to take anything away from Fernandes because he beat the brakes off of Guram. I mean, the kicks, he would drop Guram. I thought he was going to get a leg kick TKO, right? I mean, those kicks were like rifle. I mean, he's got a rifle in that rear leg, man. The way he was attacking the legs, coming upstairs to the body, head kicks. I mean, he was mixing everything up. The speed, the distance management, the grappling, everything was on point from Fernandes. He had Guram switching stances. he just had Kutateladze and just in trouble the entire fight. From the minute the fight started, he was in trouble. It seemed like Guram had zero answers for anything. I thought on the feet, Guram would definitely be the better striker. And if it went to the grappling, I was like, no problem. Kutateladze should be head and shoulders above here. Turns out he was basically better nowhere. Fernandes was better everywhere. So, and I heard Dean Thomas on the broadcast say that, working with the Tybura brothers, that wide boxing style, it got Guram in a little bit of trouble there because he was getting his leg beaten up because he has more of that, Thai style to where he's more square and condensed and, can deal with the leg kicks a little bit better. But again, pros and cons to all sorts of different stances. Guram was staring at Fernandes, never made him pay for anything, was just letting him get off kicks for free, never, earned the respect of Fernandes, didn't open up enough, was basically just staring at him, taking pictures. It was sad to see, man. It's sad to see because I really believe that Guram has a world-class skill set. We just aren't seeing it. We just aren't seeing it in these fights. And now seeing what just happened to Vucenic, that win, it's like, I still think Vucenic is very, very good, but it's hard to see for Guram at this point. But again, Fernandes, huge win for him, man. To go out there and dominate Guram like that, very, very impressive. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a like and let me know what you guys thought of this card down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you do not miss an upload. I would appreciate it. See you next time.